Hey folks, thanks for showing up. Episode number 47 of Elk Talk Live. Talking hunting with Randy Newberg. Yeah, holy cow. Are we on there, Dan? Are we on Instagram?
Yep.
Oh, I better log on to my Instagram account too. So we've got we're firing on all pistons today, let me tell you. We've got Instagram going. We've got Facebook going. We've got live stream going. Oh, all the technology challenges of the world have been solved. Last week, it was just one struggle after another. Are you on my page?
Yep.
With this Instagram jobby thing?
Oh yeah, 66 people are watching already.
6 people are already watching. All right.
66.
66 are watching. Holy cow. Why am I not seeing it? Oh well. We'll worry about that later. But right now, we're going to talk about a lot of elk hunting stuff. But before we get to that, I know all of you would love to win a free archery elk hunt in Colorado with the guys at Tack. Nate Zielinski, I believe, is going to guide you. Besides being a great elk hunter, great archer, he's also a great walleye fisherman. You go to bowtecharchery.com and sign up. And you'll see it there. Sign up for the Colorado Archery Elk Hunt. Or you can text the word hunt, H-U-N-T, to 77453. And I think they're running this till August 10th. You got to be 18 years old to win. And you got to be a citizen of the U.S. or Canada. And it's fully guided, covers everything. Tag, license, you name it, you're set to go. So that's thanks to the great folks at Tack. This Elk Talk Live thing is also brought to you by the great folks at Leupold, who are part of everything we do. Onyx Maps, they're going to give you 20% off any app products if you use promo code RANDY. So the Onyx folks, we're doing a video series about e-scouting for elk or cyber scouting, whatever you want to call it. And what did we record today, Dan? Number 6, I think? Yeah, we're on video number 6. They're going to start rolling up next Monday. So you're going to want to tune into that. Also, this is brought to you by Tight Spot Quivers, Ripcord Rests, Black Gold Sights, GoHunt.com. GoHunt has a $50 free mad money, like cash, in their gear shop if you use promo code RANDY to sign up for their insider. And then we got Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. Go to RockyMountainHuntingCalls.com. And if you use promo code RANDY, you see this right here? You could have yourself one of these bugle tubes like this, and like this Reaper call. They're going to give you 15% off any of their stuff if you use promo code Randy. Oh, that might be too loud. I better not bugle. I forgot how loud that is if you do it in a tube. Whew. All right, Dan, we ready?
Yep.
So, we hope that you're going to be sharing this stuff with your friends, because right now, the tags have been drawn. We're ready to go, right? Today, the announcement came out for Oregon. If you applied in Oregon, you found out right now, this afternoon, if you drew a tag. Tomorrow, Wyoming residents find out about elk, deer, and antelope, and non-residents find out about deer and antelope. And actually, if you're on top of it, there's a backdoor way you can find out in Wyoming right now. Hey Dan, can you show me how I get onto that Instagram jobby deal there? I'm like low on the. Okay, Logan says Wyoming results tomorrow morning. I'm a resident and put in for my first archery elk tag. Logan, I hope you win. That'd be so cool. I hope you get the tag that you were looking for. Let's see. There's all kinds of, holy cow, how'd we get this many questions already? Brandon asks, have you ever archery hunted elk in Colorado? No, I've not. All I've ever done in Colorado is rifle hunt elk, so I'm not much help there. Dan Bishop asks, Randy, I'm solo bow hunting in the rut this year, not far from you, near XYZ Lake. Would you call that grizzly country? No, there's the occasional one that might stroll through there, but it's definitely not what I would call grizzly country. And one of the things that I'm looking at here, I'm looking at all this stuff, how many questions we've had. I have been gone every day except one in the last week. No wonder I'm not getting any work done, not getting any of these questions answered. A lot of you ask me these questions elsewhere after the gig is up, and I apologize to those of you that I've not been able to get to. But, let's see. Washington, Charlie Parker says, and besides Oregon, Washington draws are out tomorrow. Dave wants to know what tires I decided on my truck. Haven't decided yet, but I got a pretty good idea. We're going to do that. Tomorrow we're going to get the topper installed on my new Nissan Titan. Big Sky Toppers here in Bozeman. I've bought 4 or 5 toppers from them. Bought these ARE toppers. They're really, really good. All right, someone says the lavalier audio needs to be cranked up. I wonder why. I wonder if that's just... Oh, I know. The lav mic is not tied to Instagram. Sorry about that. So I'm going to have to shout or something to get it to come through on Instagram maybe. So here's what I have on my outline for today of things I want to talk about. And this gets back to that. I told you we're doing this series of stuff with on X. We've been talking about sanctuaries. We've been talking about burns. We've been talking about canopy disruptions and edges. And today we talked about borders. And I'm sure some of you are like, what do you mean borders? Why are borders considered a sanctuary? Well, think about this. If this is a piece of private ground, this is public ground, what happens when most people are hunting? They stay away from that boundary over here because they're like, well, if I shoot one, I don't want them to go over on the private. Or I don't have an on-X system, so I kind of know generally where the property boundary is, but I'm going to stay a mile away. Well, the people over on the private are like, well, let's not hunt right up to the public because we'll push them over to the public. So you got this area right along public-private boundaries that is really lower in hunting pressure, not unhunted completely, but is lower hunting pressure. And the elk, they don't have the on-X system like we do, so at times they'll meander over to the public, back to the private, over to the public, back to the private. So boundaries of public-private really become a sanctuary. It's a place where elk go. They're disturbed a lot less. They're more comfortable there. So that's part of what we talked about in the video today. Then the same thing happens in states where it's mostly limited entry tags. So let's take New Mexico elk, for example, or it could be Utah, or it could be Nevada or Arizona, someplace where every tag is limited entry. So in the example I did today in the video, I said, all right, if I have this, and I'm not giving away any secrets here, the unit 16 A, B, C, D, and E in New Mexico, the Gila area is known for great elk, so I'm not messing up anyone's odds here. But let's say you have tag in 16C, and over here to the west is 16A. A lot of people don't hunt where those two units come together, or where 16C and 16B to the south come together. Well, the folks with the 16C tag are like, well, I don't want to get frustrated by seeing those elk over in 16B that I can't go after. Or kind of like the private thing, I don't want to shoot an elk in 16C that might get into unit 16B, and then I got to call the game warden, So even if it's all public, unit boundaries serve the same thing. You got the 16B guys who say, I don't want to hunt right on that border because if I see elk in 16C, I can't go after them. So even among units, these boundary areas create sanctuaries. So another place where you end up with sanctuary type locations are state boundaries, right? So you've got Colorado and Wyoming. Wyoming up here, Colorado down there. A lot of elk hunters aren't going to hunt right to the boundary of Colorado because they're afraid, same thing, Don't want to be frustrated and see elk in Colorado I can't go after. The Colorado hunters say, I don't want to see Wyoming elk I can't go after. If I shoot one, what if it goes to the other state? So along state boundaries, there's a lot less hunting pressure than there is in the core of the unit, right? Big unit, lots of public land, we're going to go right into the middle of it, right to the core. That's where most of the pressure is. These boundary areas create sanctuaries. And when I say sanctuaries, I'm just talking about places that hunters don't want to go, not because it's physically demanding, maybe not because it's rough topography or long distances. It's just another place they don't want to go because of the mental headache and the stress of hunting those areas. And then you have areas where it's your tag is over here and this place is closed to hunting. It might be tribal lands, it might be park lands, it might be other stuff that's closed to hunting. Well, a lot of people, again, are like, I don't want to hunt next to the reservation because if I see something over there on the tribal land, I can't go after it, and blah, blah, blah. Again, same effect. So we talked in long detail today about how borders can create sanctuaries. And when you're doing your elk plan, this whole e-scouting series we're talking about the basics in the first, I think, 6 or 7 videos. And then we're going to take all those fundamental things we talked about and we're putting it together in this plan of, all right, I've done my e-scouting, I've considered all these things, I'm ready to go to the field, and then we're going to show what that plan looks like. And I think we're going to do it for a post-rut hunt, because post-rut elk are the hardest elk to kill. That's why states have their rifle seasons in the post-rut period of late October. It's the hardest time to get a public land bull in your freezer. So I think our plan is going to be built around a hunt like that. And then we're going to say, if you go to the field and this is what you're seeing, this is how we execute our plan on a day-by-day basis. And this is how we adapt our plan depending on what we're finding out there. And I think today, Dan, didn't we also get into a long dissertation about hunting pressure?
We did.
Oh, yeah. We don't have enough time to go over the whole hunting pressure dissertation here. Someone says, don't worry about your audio, Randy, it's fine. Just told someone, turn it up on your phone. Turn the volume up on your phone. Says you're losing a lot of Instagram viewers because it's very difficult to hear. I don't know what to tell you. I guess I could lean forward and yell at that phone. Where's the mic on your phone, Dan? Is it
The bottom.
at the bottom? Oh, I guess that's where we had it last week. We didn't lose anyone last week. So, sorry, folks. We're trying to push this out to as many places as possible. So, sorry if some people can't hear. It's we're trying to do it best we can. Randy, what are your thoughts on hunting in drought areas? If that's where your tag is for it, Robert asked this, you go hunt it. I have a New Mexico tag this year, and everyone's telling me, Randy, this is the worst drought that we've had in 40 years. You know, all of the feed is just about nothing. The water sources are just about nothing. Expect antler growth to be small, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it might be, but I'm going. Drought or no drought, I'm going. So you just have to take into consideration the fact that, yeah, all those factors are present. The food is going to be more scarce. The water is going to be more scarce. How do you take that information and turn it to your advantage in how you plan your hunt? So I guess we'll see whether or not I have any way to, or any proof to show that my planning was how it was. Evan asks, hey Randy, can you tell us about your new broadheads? I brought this up last week. There's a company, Bone Broadhead. Jarrett sent some to me last year, and I was shooting them, and they're just like, boop, boop, boop. I'm like, whoa. So today, I don't know if you guys saw this we have a Fresh Tracks TV Instagram page, and Dan and Michael got their new Bowtech Realm X's today. Yesterday, I got my new Bowtech Realm. And I have this bison tag, this archery bison tag in Utah. So I'm going to go out to the shop probably next week, and we're going to work on an arrow setup and what we should have for front of center and all that, what total weight should be. It'll be interesting to see what we come up with, but Bone Broadheads is probably the broadhead I'm sure it's going to be the one that I use this year for that bison hunt. What did this son? Someone, Eric says, Randy, I know you love to hunt burns. Wyoming will have a new burn to hunt this year. Okay. Randy, what's your opinion of the Tack driving 6.5 Creedmoor on elk and mule deer hunting in Idaho? I'm a big fan for it for elk, or for mule deer, but there's better options for elk. I mean, not saying you won't kill them. Make a great shot, great bullets, good placement. You'll kill an elk with a 6.5, but there are way better options for elk. For me, looking at kind of those type of cartridges, a 7mm -08, 7mm 08 is probably where I would go down there. And then I'd go up from there. John Peterson asks, what do you recommend for a merino base layer? I have a Sitka merino base layer, depends on what time of year, but all year I wear my merino base. Sitka calls it a zip tee. They have great merino, and then I wear their merino boxers. And then if it's really cold, I have some merino long handles, I call them. I think they call them merino base layer bottoms. Us old folks, we call them long johns or long handles. So that's what I use. What are the blue dots while zoomed out on OnX? Without having my OnX pulled up, I really can't tell you. Depending on the state, they might be man-made water sources, stuff like that. Randy, what Howa rifle are you using this year? I have had so many questions about the new rifles I'm using this year. We were on the phone this week, kind of working on what we're going to do. This is my year of experimenting. I've talked to them, and I'm putting together all kinds of new little, let's try this barrel length, this barrel taper with this stock in this cartridge. And then let's try this one, and this one, and this one. And 2018 is going to be my season of experiments. And when I'm all done, Howa wants to know, what would you use for elk? What's your preferred deer rifle? What's your preferred antelope rifle? In all of these combinations that I can put together. I'm going down there, I think it'll be in August. And I'm gonna meet with them, and it's really fun. We did a video when I was down there 2 years ago of how you just kind of say, I want this barreled action, I want this barrel length, I want it Cerakoted. They got so many options to choose from. So I can't tell you exactly what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a little bit of a semi-custom. Randy put it together in his mind, and he's out seeing how well it works. So when we're all done, I think it's gonna be useful to have all of that. Uh-oh, somebody walk in here? We're getting broke into. We're gonna have to close that door in case it's the cleaning people and they start running their vacuum cleaner and their garbage can service or whatever. All right. Someone asked this. Riley says, I should draw my first Wyoming tag. Any thoughts on hunter management areas? Yeah, Wyoming's hunter management areas are great. Some of them are so good and have so much demand, they actually have a drawing. And I think that drawing, you can sign up July 10th is when they open up the applications for those drawings on hunter management areas. They're really, really good. I like what Wyoming does with their HMAs. First time elk hunting in the mountains, specifically New Mexico. How critical is overall rifle weight? Is 11 plus pounds when loaded with optics overboard? It depends on what you're accustomed to carrying. Some people will carry a very heavy setup because, you know, I see guys out there hunting elk with 338 Lapuas, and those things are big and heavy. I look at them, I'm like, I'm not carrying that thing, but they do, and they do just fine. So it really comes down to what you want out of it. What you know, if 11 is too much for you, then it's too much for you. It might not be for the next guy. For me, I want to have my rifle with my scope somewhere 8.5, maybe at the top end. Some of my Howa Alpine mountain rifles are far below that. But I'm experimenting with some this fall to see just how much difference does rifle weight make for me in a day of hunting. I think I know what those answers will be, but I'm going to do some more tweaking and finding out. Let's see. Thoughts on the Arizona over-the-counter mule deer tag? Possible or impossible? Absolutely possible. I got friends who go down there and have really good luck consistently. And it's over the counter. You get to go. Tons of public land. You probably already bought a license to apply for deer or elk or antelope or sheep. Buy the over-the-counter deer tag. That archery tag, it is really, really good. Oh, wow. Uh-oh, I'm sorry, folks, on Instagram. I'm missing all kinds of these. Do I do much hunting east of the Mississippi? No, I don't. Just because all of the partners that we work with have us ask us to demonstrate Western hunting, public land, self-guided Western hunting. So most of that is a function of, one, the stories we're good at telling, the stories our sponsors and partners want us to tell, and that keeps us west of the Mississippi. So here's one. I've been asked this about 20 times in the last week, because out on our YouTube channel, Randy Newberg Hunter on YouTube, in the last week, we put up the day-by-day, 7 days of our Alaska bear hunt. And a lot of people are like, what's that cost? And so Jonathan says, not considering the filming fees, any estimate of what it costs to do your self-guided Southeast Alaska public land black bear hunt, including plane, boat rental tags, etc. Yep, we added it up. It's before Alaska raised their license cost and their tag cost. We did it 5 years ago for $1,800 and some dollars. This time, it was, when you split it among 3 guys, it's a little over $2,400. Alaska for 7 days for $2,400, go there and do it. So, Bucky wants to know if I'm going to Yuma this year. Unfortunately, my calendar looks so bad. Dan, who's here running the production today, he's seen my calendar. It is not pretty. Whew, my wife has seen my calendar. That is not pretty. Oh, well. So, let's see. We got any live stream questions, Dan?
Yeah, somebody asked.
Are you putting them on the Google Doc?
I put a few on the doc.
Oh, what did I do with my Google Doc? Because we have this high-tech system here where Dan takes the questions, puts them on a Google Doc, and they come to me and I read them. You guys think I'm reading these? Really, behind the scenes, we got smart guys like Dan who are taking care of all this. And so I'd like to think it's all about me, but I'm not that smart. Actually, my son Matthew's the one who figured this out, and we've been using it. It's worked pretty slick. Here was one. Do you use bear fat? I don't, but a lot of people do. My buddies over at the Meat Eater, I think, got everybody hooked on bear fat. Is that where you heard about it, Dan?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Giannis over there, he told me when I shot a bear a couple of years ago, he's like, why didn't you bring me the bear fat? I'm like, I didn't know you wanted it. So I guess if you take care of it properly, it's fantastic to use as a cooking oil. Is that what you use it for, Dan? You shot a bear this year.
Yeah.
Did you keep the fat?
There wasn't much on this one.
Oh, he hadn't fattened up yet. He'd just come out of the den. Yeah, that's the hard part. Let's see. How about a quick YouTube video identifying moose scat versus elk scat? Well, we don't need a YouTube video on that one. Moose scat is about that big around, and it looks like a milk dud with wood chips in it. All right, or not a milk dud, a whopper. One of those chocolate malted milk chocolate whoppers, and they're going to be in perfect pellets. Bull elk droppings often are clumped together. You know how a cow elk dropping is about that big, but bulls, a lot of times it's not like real droppings. It's droppings that are stuck together in a cluster. So it's remarkably different between the two. Elk will be more of a black, really dark color. Moose will usually be a woody color, almost a brown, reddish brown, depending on what they've been eating. It's pretty easy to tell. So, and then in Colorado, there's a lot of signs up. And if you go hunting like on the Grand Mesa or other places, where people are like, hey, or the sign says, hey, don't mistake a moose for an elk and shoot a moose. So pay attention, know the difference. I know a lot of people are like, how could that happen? Well, it must happen a lot because there's a lot of signs out there in Colorado telling people, hey, don't shoot a moose. You got an elk tag. Let's see. What would you consider the correct etiquette when you find another vehicle parked at the trailhead or a closed road you intend to hike into? Would you walk right through or find another spot? No, I mean, if I get to a trailhead and it's dark, there's usually, I mean, think about how many times you pull up to a trailhead and there's other folks really getting after it like you are. You just go and you kind of disperse. Once it gets daylight and I get out there, even if I see a headlamp in the dark of someone, hey, all right, that person, they went that way and they set up on that ridge, I'm not going over there. I'm going to go this way. They're the first person there. I'm going to let them have that spot. But that doesn't mean because they're the first person at a trailhead that gets you into 30,000 acres that I'm going to turn around and say, no, thanks. No, if someone beats me to a spot, it's theirs. Yeah, I'm going to let them have it. But pull up to the trailhead, and if you see the tracks in the snow, okay, they went up this drainage, well, then I'm going to go up that drainage. I'm not going to go and mess up their hunt if they got there before I did. So that's kind of the quote-unquote etiquette that I use. Well, someone wants to know, if you scare a bull, Eric asks, if you scare a bull out of a sanctuary, how soon will he return? He may not return. He'll go to another sanctuary very often. So that's why once you find sanctuaries, hunt them carefully. And I think we talked about this last week. I know we talked about it in the video that we've done with the OnX folks, that a sanctuary has a couple characteristics. Usually it's a place where the wind makes it very hard to approach. You might say, well, that little knob out there, that little nose of the ridge that's really steep and they're out there, I can get to that. Well, you go around these drainages and corners and they know that there's these swirling thermals or the wind is somehow going to give you up. Or it's really noisy because of blowdown or scree or something. And the other thing most of these sanctuaries have is a really quick escape route for the elk. So they will go find what's another place like that and they may not come back. I mean, it's worthwhile coming back a few days later to look and see, are they in the area? But a lot of times if they're messed with in a sanctuary, they have more than one sanctuary location to hang out. They'll move on to the next one. So, Randy, would you rather grouse hunt while elk hunting or salmon fish while bear hunting? This person obviously looked at our Alaska YouTube videos from last week. The answer is yes, all of them. I mean, Corey Jacobson accuses me of being a grouse hunter who occasionally tries to shoot an elk. And I'll kind of admit that. When I'm out elk hunting, grouse are fair game. And if I get done black bear hunting early and I'm in Alaska and someone tells me, hey, the king salmon are running down there, I'm going. So don't say that I can only have one type of fun. Have all the fun. Holy cow. I wish I had a better screen that I could read all of these Instagram comments. Wow. Connor says, Randy, your scope mounting video was a huge help in tightening my zero. Thanks so much. Great. Glad that helped, Connor. We have a YouTube video that we did with Leupold. And I'll just tell folks, you'll see me in that video, I'm lapping the rings. And Leupold, they have rings that have these little grooves inside them where you really don't even need to lap the Leupold ring. But I did it because a lot of people don't know that whether their rings need to be lapped or don't need to be lapped. And if you go watch the video out on our YouTube channel, you'll know what I'm talking about. Dave asks, what Mystery Ranch backpack do you use for elk hunting? I'm pretty much running my Metcalf for everything, deer, elk, antelope. When we go to Alaska this fall, because we're going to be in for multiple days, I'll use my Marshall on those hunts. What season would you hunt Unit 61 in Colorado if you could choose it again? Whatever season I could get a tag for. It's a great spot, great hunt, great location. I would just go and do it. Whatever you got enough points for, go and get it done. Let's see. Did I draw any Nevada tags this year? Nope. What tools do you take with you in archery season? We got a bunch of videos out there, bag dumps on that. Are you planning a Utah hunt anytime soon? Yeah, I'm going to be down there hunting bison with my bow this year. How fun is that? All right, now we're going to grab a few more from Facebook. I'm trying to bounce around here and grab them from all different platforms. Dan just gave me some that came in on the live stream platform. Randy, have you ever hunted walk-in hunting areas that are considered public lands? Walk-in hunting areas that I'm familiar with in Wyoming, in Idaho, and in Kansas, they're private land that is open to public hunting. So you treat it with all the respect in the world, same as you would if it was your land. And I tell people, treat public land like it's your land. But go in and do them. There can be some really, really good hunting in all of those. Is 10,000 feet elevation too high to look for third season elk in Colorado in a typical year? Nope. I've seen them at 10,000. Just depends on how much snow you got and what the weather is like. I like your gear dump videos. Are you planning on switching up any of your gear or upgrading any gear? Every year, I am always tweaking and working on this or that, whatever I can. I'm always in search for the next great thing. So, yeah, I should probably do bag dumps every few years because some things change, some things get added, some things get replaced. So maybe I should do that. Oh gosh. There's some people are asking some questions here that I don't know. I don't have any experience, so I'm not ignoring you. It's just that I don't have any experience with that. This one, Mike asks, what is your process in selecting a unit to apply in a location you've never hunted before? Do you e-scout before applying? Do you check draw stats? Are there other issues to take into consideration? Yeah, it's all that stuff. I look at the herd size. I look at the herd trends. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Cow to calf ratios, are they at least 35 or better? Because all scientists, biologists will tell you that a cow to calf ratio needs to be 35 to 100 in order to maintain a herd. If it's below that, the herd's declining. If it's above that, the herd is probably increasing. So I look at those things. I look at harvest statistics. I look at draw odds. I look at all kinds of things. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of scouting before I ever make an application to a unit. One hiking pole or one trekking pole or two? Two. I always am a two guy. In fact, I got an email today from a company that makes trekking poles out of carbon fiber. And tomorrow, they're going to come here and drop off some new prototype carbon fiber trekking poles designed for hunting. They're like, Randy, you're the guy in the hunting world who uses trekking poles. I'm like, yep. Bring them by. I'll try them. I'll give you honest feedback. So if you guys see me using them a year from now, you know they're really good. If you don't see me using them, well, they just didn't hold up to what we wanted. So, someone says, Randy, are you that big fin guy out on that Hunt Talk forum? Yeah, I am. I own the Hunt Talk forum. So if you want to follow me and get a lot of advice from really a serious crew of Western hunters, go to hunttalk.com and sign up. Those guys, they teach me so much stuff. I would bet the majority of things you see in my bag dump, I picked up from reading, watching, and interacting with the guys out on Hunt Talk. So yeah, I'm the big fin guy. There's a long story behind that we don't have time to tell it all. Let's see. Someone says, Randy, in your discussion of borders just a little bit ago, how close to the borders are you hunting? It depends on if it's archery season or rifle season. And so if this is the border and this is public, I'm going to get myself, and I think the elk are coming from the public, going to try to get to private. I'm going to get myself between the elk and the border. So if I shoot, hopefully they're going to go back into public. Now, if I think the elk are coming from private to the boundary and going into public, I'm going to be off that boundary a ways. I want them to get in here a ways, 300-400 yards maybe, before I set up, because if I shoot one, I'm hoping they're going to expire before they go 300 or 400 yards. So hope that makes sense. I mean, it's somewhat situation specific, but it's just kind of a general rule what I threw out there. What is your best advice for learning the wind? Can you go out this time of year and still have similar results in wind conditions? Yes, you can. Corey Jacobson and I were doing a podcast the other day, and man, we got into a long discussion about wind. I bet you we spent a half hour talking about wind. So when that podcast is up and running, I'll let you know. People want to know what are some of the favorite nicknames I've gotten over the years. Oh man, we don't even want to go there. That's way too personal. I'd tell you what kind of underwear I wear before I'd tell you some of those. Some of you people are way too funny. Somebody keeps giving me grief about my old man shoes. You know what? I don't know how many episodes someone's still asked about my old man shoes. Someone says, hey, Randy and Marcus or Michael, guess what? Tonight it's Dan. There's 3 of them. Randy, how many boned out meat bags would you bring for a goat hunt? What about an elk? So I use caribou game bags. They have what's called a wapiti kit, and that's really the right size. They have one that's the wapiti like big kit, and then they have the backpack kit. That's perfect for an elk. I'm going to have one for each hind quarter, so there's 2. I'm usually, depending on where I'm at, whether I'm boning it out or whatever, probably going to have at least one for the front quarter and a backstrap, another front quarter and a backstrap, so there's 4. And then I'm going to, if I can, I'm going to have all of the trim meat in another bag, that's 5. And then if I'm bringing the head out, I'm probably going to have the skull and the head in a smaller bag. And if I'm keeping the cape, I need a bag for that. So I'm usually bringing with me 6 bags. Sometimes I only end up using 5 of them, and with a goat, it's going to be very similar. Not going to be that much different. You could probably get by with 4 or 5 on a goat, 5 or 6 with an elk. And it depends on, obviously, how big of bags you are. But caribou game bags, they've got it dialed in. They got it figured out. Amazing products. Go use those. What is your favorite meat, and do you process yourself? Boy, that's a hard one to answer. Probably antelope is my favorite meat. And whenever I can, I process my meat myself. Growing up, that was like the rite of passage. You were judged how good of a hunter you were in my family by how careful you took care of any game that you whether birds you shot, rabbits, deer, or any fish you caught. That was like how you really proved yourself to the elders that I'm a serious hunter. Man, I know how to cut this, I know how to slice that. I can fillet a fish without wasting anything, no bones in it. So I still take a lot of pride in that, and you'll see, this is kind of quirky, so I apologize, and some of you might have asked or been wondering why it is always this way, but if you watch our footage, just about every time an animal hits the ground, I'm the guy doing the carving, the gutting and gilling, as we call it in my family. The reason is, before that person comes on the hunt, I make a deal with them. You're the guest hunter, but when you shoot something, I get to do the fun part. I get to do the field dressing. And most of them think, like, you're nuts, Newberg. And maybe I am. But to me, once that animal's expired, taking care of that meat is so much a part of why I hunt. It brings me back to why I started hunting in the first place, how I got brought into hunting from the food aspects. So if you've seen that and you're like, well, Randy's friend shot that bear, shot that deer, shot that elk, or his son shot that moose, that's the deal that gets made before the cameras even start rolling, is if you come with me, I get the fun part of doing the field dressing. And I don't care if we're doing the gutless method or not, that's what I like to do. And most people are like, have at it, Randy. So that's a long answer to the question of, do I take care of my own meat? Sometimes we're on the road from this hunt to that hunt, to that hunt, to that hunt. And as a result, my good friends out here at Yellowstone Game Processing, they're unbelievable good people, do a great job. I'll drop it off there and get it taken care of there. But all things being equal, if I have the time, I'm doing it myself because it's fun. You know, some people say they like to mow their grass, or they like to shovel snow, or they like to whatever. I don't like to do any of those things. I like to take care of whatever I catch or whatever I shoot. So call me weird. I'm sure some of you are like, yeah, Newberg, we knew you were weird before this. But want to remind you all, those of you who just jumped in, go out to bowtecharchery.com and sign up for the free elk hunt. Fully guided Colorado archery elk hunt this September. I think it's September 14th through the 20th. And if you don't go online to sign up, you can give your information by texting HUNT, H-U-N-T, to 77453. Don't forget that. And don't forget the other great companies like Leupold and Onyx and Go Hunt and Tight Spot and Black Cold and Ripcord and Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls who make this possible. I hope when you're buying your gear and you're getting tooled up for this year, you consider all them in your buying decisions because, well, Onyx has a coupon, promo code of Randy, save 20%. Go Hunt, they have a promo code, Randy, get $50 for signing up for the Insider. And Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, man, you like that? That's a cool new logo there. Use promo code Randy and save 15%. So, see, we're saving you all kinds of money here, folks. That's the whole idea. Oh, this is funny. Eric Whittle has this comment. He says, I'll GPS the Dairy Queens for you. It must be in relation to something else. The Onyx folks, we were talking about how we could do a humorous video related to this whole e-scouting series. And we thought about faking a Dairy Queen layer. And then, because part of this is going to be where I set my camp, whether it's a bivvy camp or a base camp. And Matt, was it Matt or Zach or Dave at Onyx said, well, let's do a Dairy Queen layer because we all know that's where you decide where to set your camp. So when Eric said this, I'm like, oh man, can you imagine a Dairy Queen layer on Onyx? That would be just too much. Oh gosh. Funny. So how many times can you register for this hunt giveaway? I don't know. I'm not sure. You'd have to go out there and find out. I guess register more than once and see if it lets you do it. So Bashir asks, Randy and Dan, any recommendations on over-the-counter tags in Colorado, season and resources? I'm thinking in either sex tag since I'm a first-timer. Yeah. Where did we get into this discussion? Oh, Corey and I on this podcast again, we're talking about cow elk hunting. If you can get an either sex tag, go for it. And take the first elk you find. First legal elk that's there, make a go of it, man. Don't let all these expectations get in your way. Go elk hunting and have fun. That's what it's all about. Get some amazing meat for the freezer, have a great experience, be part of this whole conservation cycle of funding and helping with management through your taxes, through your excises, taxes, through your license fees. Just go do it. As far as units, I would go to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife website, and I think it's called Hunting Information or Big Game Information. It has the herd information for all of the herds. It's got the things I mentioned earlier about harvest statistics, population estimates and modeling, all that stuff. Go and look at that and say, all right, here might be the 4 top ones that interest me, and then go and look at which of those units have the type of, I guess, terrain, country you want to hunt in. There's no real science to it. And then once you do that, stick with it. Go year after year, and pretty soon you'll know that country really well. You'll know how the elk behave and interact on that landscape, and you'll be surprised how successful you can be. So, let's see. We're going to get into this one. Corey Briggs asked, Randy, what's your move after a few days of no elk hearing or sightings? We're going to get into that in the next series that we're doing with e-scouting. Do you make any changes to your arrows and broadheads from whitetail to elk? I don't. When I hunt deer, antelope, elk, I'm using the same setup. And I use a really heavy arrow. And I know some guys are like, I can't believe you use that really heavy arrow setup, 125 grain with all that weight and everything else for antelope. I just don't want to mess with it. So that's what I use. I don't make any changes. Yep, more on the dock, Dan?
Yep.
Oh, well, gosh. When are the e-scouting videos starting? Asks Steve in Minnesota. They're starting next Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to be on our YouTube channel, Randy Newberg Hunter. We're going to have links and promos coming on our Facebook, on our Instagram. On X is going to be promoting them and pushing them out. And we thought that this was going to be a 6 to 8 video series. We've already shot 6 videos for it. And I feel like we're maybe halfway there, don't you, Dan? So it's going to be a lot more content than I ever dreamed of. But I get excited while we're doing this because I made every stupid mistake known to man when it came to elk hunting. And I've taken a lot of notes, and I get the benefit of going on a lot of elk hunts every year, whether mine or friends that I'm helping in a lot of different places. So I get to make lots of mistakes. So the idea is, how do I provide content in a series like this so people won't make some of the same dumb mistakes I made? That's kind of the whole goal of it all. So that stuff's going to be out starting Monday, the 25th? I don't know.
Yes.
Mike Croft says, your Instagram posts seem to insinuate that you drew a Wyoming antelope tag. Results aren't posted until tomorrow. Did you draw? Yes, I drew. And earlier I told you, if you go out to their website, there is a way you can check what some call the backdoor method. And if you really want a shortcut to that, go to hunttalk.com, and there's a thread on our forum that says Wyoming draw results. The link is right there. No charge for that advice. So, let's see. What cameras do you use, and what editing system do you prefer? This person Brandon must think about filming his own hunts. We use Adobe Premiere for our editing. Cameras, we've filmed stuff on these all the way up to an FS7 that, with the lenses, kits, and all the batteries and everything, is a $20,000 camera. Most of the stuff that we're filming is on a Z150. That's about a $3,500 camera. We got a few of those. We have little mirrorless cameras. All of our stuff now is Sony. We've switched everything over to Sony. Sony has the best sensors. They've got the best technology. They've kind of made their user interface very, very similar from the lowest end camera to the highest end camera. So that's what we end up using. Not that that's going to help you shoot any more elk, but that's the answer to the question. Let's see. Am I going to hunt Idaho this year? Doesn't look like it. I've been told I'm getting my moose refund from Idaho. Have any idea how to not get called in by a fellow elk hunter? A part of that is just listening Go out in the woods and listen. And listen to elk before season, if you can, before season. Maybe, well, you never know if it's a live elk or if it's a hunter. But you'll know most of the smaller elk bugles, like this here, this is like a serious tube. This one, you can really imitate a real bull elk. But some of them are very small. Some of them have built-in reeds. The Rocky Mountain Hunting Call ones have what's called VET technology. I think it's volume enhanced tone technology, where even if they have a built-in reed, it's hard to tell. But you get the real cheap ones, and you can tell, like, wow, that has a real plasticky, nasally sound to it. Doesn't mean it's not an elk, but in most likelihood it is. Hoochie Mama, you know, the one you squeeze. If you hunt elk very long, you can tell a Hoochie Mama from 3 miles away. There's no real science to it of, oh, that tells me it's just kind of over time, you kind of get a feel of it. So, let's see. How much does excessive wet spring, summer weather affect the dispersion of elk in the fall? It can, because like right now, it's been raining here in Montana. We have had a super wet winter. We've had a super wet spring. We are going to have feed everywhere. So it affects the dispersion in that the elk can go all over the landscape. There's going to be so much food on the landscape this year in Montana, it's going to be crazy. Whereas some years, when it's a really dry year and a drought year, the really good food is in small isolated pockets. Well, that almost helps the hunting, because you know that's where the elk are going to be. So it does affect, and it does change how you do it. Let's see. What should we do next, Dan? Should we? Oh. Dean asks, could you pick a unit that's basically impossible to draw as a non-resident, or even a big private ranch, and use it as your OnX Maps video example with feeding areas, bedding areas, etc., not only for late season, but more specifically for archery? You know, we'd never do it on a big private ranch, because that just doesn't, it's not the audience that we talk to. It's not the way we hunt. But we are talking about, when we put this plan together, what unit, where on the landscape are we going to do this? And we are worried that if we pick some general unit, it's going to ruin it for a bunch of people. Like today, when we were talking about, or the other day, we were talking about disruptions. And one of the disruptions, canopy disruptions in edge areas, we talk about our avalanche slides. Well, here in the Bridger Mountains, north of Bozeman, I could show on the map, here's what avalanche chutes look like. That doesn't mean go there and look for elk, because the Bridgers in Montana are one of the toughest places. There's supposedly lots of elk, but they instantly, as quick as season opens, they run to private. It's a tough place to fill an elk tag. So the idea is, we're trying not to ruin someone's unit when we do this, but we're not going to do it for archery, because the archery seasons are either early, pre-rut, or peak rut, and those are way easier seasons to locate elk than post-rut. So we're doing this plan for the toughest time of year. But we've talked about food in these videos, so if you watch them, you're going to pick up a lot of information about how to find food and how to find bedding cover. So hopefully it'll help without us doing it quite to the degree that's being asked. Andrew asks, what's the elk main diet? We've said it many, many times. Grasses and forbs. We're saying it in this same series. You know, elk are grazers for the general part of what their diet is. Sometimes if the grasses don't grow, say it's really bad drought, they have to switch to other things. But I tell people, go read these books about elk and elk ecology. Jack Ward Thomas has the best book out there. I think it might even, you got to buy it as a used book now on Amazon, but it just tells you so much about elk and elk behavior. If you want to be a serious elk hunter and you want to get elk in your crosshairs, in your sight regularly, if you want to see them, you need to become a student of elk. There are no shortcuts to becoming a student of elk. You got to read. You got to consume information. You got to understand what the science and biology tells you. That was the biggest mistake I made. Excuse me. When I first became an elk hunter, I thought there was a shortcut. I thought, well, I'm going to go buy some gadget or some gizmo. No. When I finally decided I was going to read every elk hunting book, every elk hunting article, not tips and tactics articles about what they eat, what their needs are, how they react to humans, how they react to traffic and motors, how they react to fire, how they interact on the landscape with each other, how their needs change from September to November. That's when I started solving the riddle about finding lots of elk. Because if you can't find an elk, you aren't going to fill your tag. I know that sounds overly simple, but most people who fail to fill their tag are people who have not done the informational, investment, the research, the understanding of elk, just the basic needs of elk. All these things that are why elk are in this spot and not in that spot. It's not like elk randomly say, I think I'll go over by those trees today. No. Elk have to make a living. They are out there trying to find the best food with the least amount of risk. It's that simple. An elk only has one thing to do when hunting season starts. That's survive until dark. He spends the night, daylight comes, he's got one job the next day. Survive until dark. He's not on a schedule like we are. He's not like, I got to be home because, the in-laws are coming over for Thanksgiving dinner. Don't matter to him. He's trying to stay alive. So you need to understand what that elk is thinking. Why is he doing what he's doing? And all the gadgets, all the gizmos, all these supposed articles about this or that, most of that is hooey. What you really need is a better understanding of elk and their needs. And if you do that, you're going to have really, really good luck. Dennis is asking, what was the name of that author again? Jack Ward Thomas. He used to be the chief of the Forest Service. He was one of the leading people in forestry, in landscape management, in elk. He sat on the board of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation for a while. He passed away early from cancer, I think, 2 years ago. His stuff is still the best that I've found out there. Hopefully someone says, Mike Mulligan has answered someone else's question. There's a conversation going on out here on Facebook. I'm like, I don't know who's talking to who. Someone asks, what temperature range do you use your Timberline pants? And Zachary must know that the Timberline pant is kind of my go-to uniform for elk hunting. It's made by Sitka Gear. I use my Timberline pant starting about August 1st or October 1st, and I wear them to the end of the season. So for the places I hunt, once it gets down into the 40s, I'm using my Timberline pant the whole rest of the year. So, and some days, it even gets hotter. And I'll still wear my Timberline pant, but I just won't wear a base layer. And then if it gets really cold, I'm in Wyoming, it's November, the wind's howling, and it's 12 degrees. I'll still wear my Timberline pants, but I'll have a merino base layer on underneath them. So, how long have we been at this, Dan? Have we been at it an hour already?
Yeah, it says you only have 45 seconds.
Hey, to you Instagram folks, it says we've only got 45 seconds left, so I'm sorry, we're probably going to lose all of you. But you can go join us over on Facebook or on live stream, because we got to do a couple more questions. I feel like we got to give people their money's worth, because the previous 2 weeks didn't work out the way we wanted. I feel like people got shortchanged the previous 2 weeks. I want to give them their money's worth. Let's see. Looks like I've really spilled the beans here. Someone wants to know if I use 8 or 10 power binos on an archery hunt. I use 8 power on an archery hunt. Nothing wrong with 10 power. If that's what you got, use them. Don't go buy new ones just for the purpose of having new binos for a hunt. Odds are your 10s or 8s, whatever you have, are going to work for archery or rifle hunts. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to find. Oh, we're going to show Marcus this comment. Randy, I really enjoyed your Alaska salmon fishing episodes, the last 2 parts of your bear hunt. However, Marcus needs some serious practice on hook setting. Oh, we knew that was coming. Randy, this is a good one. In your e-scouting, roadless backcountry areas, and when you have roadless and backcountry areas as part of your e-scouting, if you have a heavily used trail, will you treat that the same as a road? Almost. I will. I mean, there are some backcountry trails that have mountain bikers. They have day hikers. There's a lot of places where hunting pressure is not the main use of backcountry areas. I was saying this today to somebody. One time we had a big hunt planned and we thought, boy, we really got it figured out. There's an ATV jamboree going on where we're trying to hunt. I'm like, oh no. So my point was, there were all these other public land users. They have as much right to be there as we do, but we didn't know that was going on, and it completely messed up one day of our hunt. It's like, oh, this isn't gonna work. We better go move. So point of this question is, and why I think it's a good one is, there are places where you're gonna have a lot of hikers, dogs, mountain bikers, whatever it is. And those places, I do almost treat those as a motorized trail. Because, so I want to quickly talk about how this whole motorized human activity stuff became such a big part of my hunting. Google's your friend in this one. There's an experimental forest over in Oregon called the Starkey Experimental Research Station. Starkey, S-T-A-R-K-E-Y. There's been so much study about elk. They have their own elk herd within that forest. And they do all these great, it's true science. And some of their reports are a little bit dry to read. And for me as an accountant to say it's dry, I mean, I read the tax code for a living. But my point is this, it's amazing data. It's been funded by state agencies, by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation has funded a lot of it. The BLM, the Forest Service, all these groups have funded a lot of this research. And just about every bit of it comes to the same conclusion. Elk avoid human activity. And there are levels of human activity that they avoid more so than others. Lots of human activity, continue and repeated human activity, they will move at least a mile away from that. Motors, whether it's ATVs, whether it's trucks, whether it's whatever, they'll move at least a mile away from that. And again, this isn't some statement on motorized travel or on mountain bikes that I'm trying to make some political comment. I'm just saying, if you want to find more elk, don't disregard what the science tells us. That's simple. So, to this is a really good question. I appreciate that someone put it out there. Yeah, treat those heavily used trails almost as if they're a motorized trail or a road. So, let's see. I hope you give a big thanks to all these companies: Leupold, Bowtech, Onyx, Go Hunt, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, Tight Spot, Ripcord, Black Gold. They make all this possible. We'll see you next Wednesday. I'm so happy we got the technology issues solved, Dan. Ha! What a country. Yes, what a country. We live in the greatest country in the world, greatest conservation story in the world, greatest amount of public land where we have public hunters doing all this fun stuff. Go and hunt. Go enjoy it and do it, because that's what it's all about. And thanks for watching.